This is Alex with Grow How. Today we're going to talk about choosing a garden trowel. When I was first out of college, my job was planting annual flowers. We did 4,000 flowers a day. And I learned then that if I didn't have a good trowel, I was going to be in trouble. Because if you're planting a start without a trowel, you're going to have a lot more work, a lot more effort. Yeah, you can do it with a shovel or a pick, but that's a lot harder. So the first thing I want to show is a non-gardening trowel. This is a masonry trowel. My dad moved. For some reason he had this. I have no clue why, because I've never heard him do any kind of masonry. I suppose this could work in a pinch, but it's not made for it. Get a tool that's made for what you're doing. The second one is this trowel. And this trowel was here when I moved into this place. And it looks pretty good. It's got a point. It's a little bit dented. It's not sharp along the edge. That's okay. But what you see right here is this is very loosely attached here. I don't know if that's welded or if it's just, I don't see any weld marks on it. So it's just put there mechanically. I have broken, even before I started working professionally in this field, I've broken a number of these trowels. If you're going for strictly loose potting soil, it will be fine. If you're doing anything with actual existing dirt in a lawn or a yard, this is not going to cut it. It's just not going to do the job. This is one I got for somebody else and they decided not to use it. You'll notice it's, unlike the other trowel, it's welded here. It's really, it's solid. You can tell it's a weld if you're used to welding, but there is no crack, there's no, it's solid. Very thick steel, I like that. The point is round. There's no edge on this blade at all. So when you're going through a soil that has any kind of resistance, this really makes it hard. Again, for soft soils, it's great. It'll last forever. For a harder soil, it's going to be difficult. For a freshly tilled soil, this will be fine. I don't till. Tilling's not terribly great for the soil, and it's expensive to run it and expensive to have one when you're only going to use it once in a while. So I don't till. This one's hard for me to use. I'm not going to say anything bad about the construction. It works perfectly well as far as that goes. It's just really hard to get in, even though, again, this thing will last for a long time. Now this is one of my more recent trowels. This is actually one that's designed for bulbs. It's about as thick as the other one, but it's actually probably a little bit thicker, but it's, as far as the actual metal, but as far as the actual blade, it's thin, because you don't need to move a lot of soil to plant a bulb. This is one of my favorite trowels. I got two of these when I got them. I did break one of them, but you'll notice right there, I don't even know if that's a weld or whether it's actually, it looks like it was solidly forged that way. A really great trowel. This is the trowel I've been currently using, mostly because it's in the garage and I just grab it first. It's kind of fancy. It is distinctly, it does say Corona on it. No, they're not paying me for this. Anybody work for them? Give me some money. Again, it's got that solid welded attachment. I don't know if that's going to hold up better or worse than this one. You'll also notice this is also a bulb trowel. That's just a preference I have. The wider trowels are perfectly good. I just like narrow ones. This has got a little finger hook here, so you've got that extra catch on it, so when you're digging with it, and I usually use my trowel like that for digging plants. This is, when you're doing 4,000 a day, you don't last long. This has got, like the others, some of the others anyway, it's got measurements. I don't use that much. It's got this cutting edge, which I've used a little bit. It's got these cutters right here for cutting string or whatever happens to be in your way, I guess. I don't really use those at all at this point. They're not too sharp, which is good because I'd probably cut my hand on them. But that does get a little bit of use, but it's not needed. This one, it's perfectly good. And they're both good trowels. The thing to really avoid is things like this that are just poorly attached. If I were to go out and use this for even a partial day on a commercial crew, it would be done. I wouldn't even get through it in a day, and that's with well-tilled, well-prepared beds. It's just not strong enough. So when you buy equipment, buy the best you can get. You will notice out there are some plastic trowels. There are trowels that they have just a little spot weld. They look about like this, but instead of that fancy insert there, they have just a really cheap thin spot weld. I've broken those in a day. Those, if you can afford nothing else, a stamped metal trowel I guess will do the job, but get a tool that's the best you can afford as far as quality goes. I'm going to buy 5 or 10 of these over a season if I use them the way I do. And I've had both of these and used both of these for multiple seasons. And when I say use them hard, it's not like I'm using them commercially hard. I don't use them commercially. I broke these as teenagers. Buy good tools. Catch you later. Manana.